Go ahead.
So, good evening, Dr. Lisa, Board of Trustees,
No problem.
fellow administration, and members of the audience. We put together, Terry Ryan and I put together a 6-page PowerPoint presentation to respond to the previous question. And we're going to provide specific answers as well as a general overview. So to begin with, we provided the guidelines that the State Department of Education provides in terms of the Ed Code referencing how per pupil expenditures are arrived at, as well as identify the various categories that are used. And the next 2 slides are some of the findings that Terry Ryan is going to share.
Our focus tonight on answering these questions is, as Beatrice said, from a general perspective, based on the questions from our last board meeting, as we work through to get to the specifics. It is I want to thank the public for having brought some of the challenges that the report presents to our attention, and most specifically what we're focusing on tonight and in the future between now and June 30th is page 8 of the SART, where we're talking about expenditures per pupil and school site teacher salary. What we're doing, what we've learned in our research and investigation is that the data has not been updated on a regular basis. And I'm couching those words, it hasn't been updated for quite some time. Having said that, we are very interested and very committed to making sure. That's okay, I don't need to later. That we're committed to going back 4 years, at least 4 years, maybe 5 1. It's 5 years, going back 5 years for data. What we're showing tonight is 2 elements of the page 8 of the SART report. The first one is enrollment. We think enrollment is important as we get into the expenditure per student, which is the real crux of the discussion, because the enrollment, something like this, will really bear out what has happened at one of our schools. In that particular case, it's Lincoln. So that's just a general guide of where we were when we were starting this process now and researching our information. We're starting in 2009-10. We found the problem to be back in 2009-10. So it's been a problem for quite some time. So for tonight, so that the public knows and the board knows that we are committed to gathering this data as accurately as possible, and it takes a lot of time. We're showing you we're going to show you 2 slides. Enrollment for 2009-10 and 12-13. That's the green line is 9-10 and the purple line is 12-13. I'm going to move on to the next slide. That just shows you how our enrollment has run. And this is where I think the rubber was meeting the road at our last board meeting. Same information, time frame information. 2009-10 per pupil total expenditures is the blue line, and the red line is per pupil expenditures for 2012-13. The general gist of this information, until we get to the detailed numbers when we can put them back into the report, is this graph to show everyone that our expenditures have generally trended for each school, have generally trended upwards, or at least stayed the same for 3 of our schools. So we will continue working on this. Beatrice is going to tell you, show us how in the next couple of slides how we're working on this. We are committed to getting these numbers right and getting them published, and it's going to take just a little bit of time, but Beatrice is going to explain that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so as you saw some of the preliminary findings, and we're going to dig deep and get more information, but these are some just factors to include in terms of why you see variation from year to year. Expenditures, variation in expenditures can include, there's some capital outlay or changes in staff. You have teachers who transfer from site to site, and their salary may be different. It may be a high-paid teacher versus a brand new teacher, or a teacher who has family benefits versus a single person, and then also funding source. But we also want to provide some background in terms of why we do not have all the 5 years worth of parts completed to date. And that's because the process is, involves a lot of information gathering, very detailed information gathering. One of them is sifting through expenditures and categorizing them whether they're restricted or unrestricted. Also, when we're looking at teacher salaries, the business department has a database of all teachers, and then that has to be reconciled with the HR department and see if there's a change the teacher can change from one side to another. There can be transfers, there can be retirements, there can be leaves of absence. So we have to reconcile the list 1 year at a time, one site per time, and sort them out. And then finally, when you're looking at classified expenditures, we have some classified employees who fall under restricted or unrestricted as well, so, or a different category of unrestricted. So that involves a lot of sorting out, and we appreciate the support and the work, the collaboration we had with the business department in helping us gather this information and continue together. And the final slide is just the timeline that we want to present in terms of updating all the last 5 years worth of SARC. So we're here tonight to present our initial findings, an overview. By the end of the month, we hope to have those findings up online and reflected on our SARC. And then for the month of the April board meeting, have the years that I've identified there, and then end in May with all the updates. So that's our response to that question. Thank you.
If I might add in closing, it is so tedious because it has to be all manually done. For example, to go back to 2009-10, we have to look at the teachers that were at that site, what their salaries were then, and what the level of benefits was for them, whether they had, as we just said, a whole family or a young single teacher. And therein will lie a disparity in the total numbers per site, or the average per pupil per site, because of that imbalance. So we are doing that forensically. Back to the source of how it came to roll over and how these numbers mimic each other year after year. Going back 3 iterations ago, 3 chairs ago, who was doing the SARC, he rolled over the numbers in his last year. The following person here was here for 2 years and rolled the same numbers again, because they roll automatically in from DTS, Document Tracking Services, to be updated, not realizing that those numbers sat there year after year. And that's how we got to where we are now. We now have recognized that, and we'll purify the data back to 2010. And again, as you saw, they'll present monthly updates with the final resolution by June 30th for all the years rectified and correct on the website. Thank
Mr. Thank you very much, Jerry. Thank you, Terry. Please, and Beatriz. So we'll be waiting for the update, the final numbers. Okay. What was the oh, yes. California Public Records Act request. I was presented with a letter with I don't know how many, several requests. Please update the board about the status of that.
On 23 February, our last board meeting, every board member received a request for under the Public Records Act. There were 25 points or questions that were listed to be responded to. We were required by law to respond within 10 days to the letter acknowledging receipt. We did that, and we identified in that response that we would provide an initial response of those points by the 23rd of March. Not all will be responded to, not all fall under the PRA, but we'll research them all and do our best to continue to dig up everything we can to provide it to the recipients, the BBB. One example I would give you is budget years were asked for. Each budget's about 150 pages. I would hope we could provide a link or an electronic file versus the 150 pages at 10 cents a page to the BBB. We are working it diligently, and we'll have our initial response out by the 23rd of March.
Thank you, Mrs. Stratton. And the last one is about, I heard that we need to change the process, how teachers are going to be involved in the LCAP. So far, the district has been following the process that we have in place, working through committees, teacher representation, and that was the same format that we used last year, and we began this year. However, as Carol expressed today, they want to change, they want every single person to be involved in the process. Mrs. Fisher, can you address this issue because we talked about this? Okay, thank you.
Yes, one thing that I know you just said it was the same process last year. Actually, our process this year won't exactly mirror. Last year was our initial year where we did do large stakeholder input meetings at Hartnell College and various school sites to establish our goals. In reviewing, this is not the base year of the LCAP, it's year 2 of the 3-year goal plan. So we originally intended to use the existing committees that provided input from parents, classified, certificated, and administrative members, as well as the student voice via our Healthy Kids survey that was given in December and January. And as well, all site staff and parents have the opportunity, and still have the opportunity to fill out the Healthy Kids survey. Those two are still open, the student survey is closed. And that data would have given us a lot of information to potentially use towards our climate and culture goal. So in addition, we will be putting online another survey that can be filled out by all stakeholders. There'll be some self-identification if it's being filled out by a parent, a staff member, what site, and that kind of thing, but it's an anonymous survey, only what's self-reported. So that will also be available at the end of this month, before the end of this month. In addition, we will work through the existing committees, which are the Program Improvement and Curriculum Team, the District English Learner Advisory Committee, the Parent Advisory Committee, the, there's another one, I know, DLAC, the District English Learner Advisory Committee, the PAC, which is made up, the PAC is made up of one representative from every school site council. The English Learner Advisory Committee is made up from representative from each school site council, each school site representing English learners, as well as a representative from CSEA and a representative from SCESD. And we also were meeting through through Ed Services meeting and through any other, perhaps it would have been a topic of discussion in testing coordinators in different venues as we work through the process to review and revise the existing LCAP. One decision that has been determined, and this is after going to meetings with consultation from Weston and various places, is the district established 3 goals. We will be staying with 3 goals. It was a wise thing to not have a list of 27 goals, but many different actions and services will support achieving those 3 goals.
Thank you very much for the summaries and also the information shared. I'm going to hit myself. Are there any individuals addressing the board on items that are not on the agenda present? Open to the public for comment. Please state your name, address, and address the board with questions and or comments that are not on the agenda. We will listen to all the comments, okay? We'll listen to your ideas. We'll respond in a timely manner, either tonight or direct staff after the board meeting, you know, talk to us if necessary, research the items and correct them. But what do we got before me? Okay?
We're Girl Scout Troop from 30313. We're from El Gavilan School. And Laura Wood.
Thank you very much for being here.
We're selling Girl Scout cookies. They're $4 per box. And we'll be out in the hallway.
I'm glad it wasn't on the agenda so you guys could go.
The types that we have are caramel delights, which are Samoas, and peanut butter sandwiches.
Okay. Next, please. There's 3 people on team, right?
Nosotros somos de El Gavilan School y andamos vendiendo galletas de Girl Scouts. por $4 una caja. Gracias.
Gracias. Muy amable. Additionally, I would like to ask the public to hold your applause. I know you're happy, but hold your applause out of respect to the speaker and also one another, unless we're celebrating the accomplishments all together. Our students. Okay? Thank you. Identify yourself, please.
Sean Henry.
Keep it 3 minutes.
Yes, always nice to have children here and Girl Scouts, and want to make sure I'm not stepping in front of anyone that want to say anything or say anything to the board. So, I first want to thank Ms. Salinas. I know that's a lot of work and not necessarily expecting all that to be done in a short amount of time. So I appreciate that, and every interaction and every thing she's followed through on. And every question I've ever had. So I want to thank you for and appreciate that. I wanted to point out something too from the last meeting. There's like really good information. A lot of times at the end of the evening, kind of feel bad for some of the principals and everyone that puts it together because it's really good information for the community. Like for instance, Jerry did a question before about Mrs. Trent. Did a presentation on the use of facilities. And so unfortunately, with the recorder, it went out, but darned if it wasn't the next day that I was at Little League and they were talking about facilities uses, and I was able to say there's some 300 and some plus and only 6 are denied, and I even had a conversation with the principal about the basketball court. So the perception, in these meetings, the misnown perceptions can be corrected. And so the information is really good. I also wanted to just kind of commend, I learned a little bit about my school from Mission Park and some of the other schools each time I'm here. And did a great presentation by Ms. Zanzo on the SELF scores and what resources are happening. And I'm really happy to see the district is really supporting Ms. Zanzo and Mission Park this year. There's a lot more programs. And it was also pointed out with the budget that after Title I was passed, that some of the priorities are going to be going to, trying to increase. Like this year, the first year we had a homework club, and next year they're looking at some interventions after school. So with the money that was allowed to come to the school, next year that'll be there after the teachers voted for it. They're already looking at different ways to use it and support our students. So it's really nice to get a presentation and see exactly, some new programs that are already there and some things that are going to increase. And so I was very appreciative about that. Thank you. Thank you.
Your name, please, and address.
Good evening, Frank Garden.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'm a parent of several children in the district. Just a couple of quick things. Actually, I had planned out what I was going to say, but after hearing the response to previous concerns, I just wanted to thank Dr. Luza for following up on our information request. I did get the preliminary letter from Gerald Stratton, and so yes, I do acknowledge it's probably a time-consuming, laborious information request, but it's something that we definitely want to look into because it's important. I also appreciate Dr. Luza's comments regarding the community is really the driving force behind directing the education of our children. And we can't emphasize that enough, that we want parents to know that local control is here, that parents need to be involved in telling our superintendent and our board the direction that they want to take the education at each school site. So I guess that's just my public service announcement for more community involvement. In the 2 minutes I have left, I'll just kind of expand on what Sean said in terms of the videotaping of the board meetings. I appreciate you guys putting it up on the district website to encourage more open access. We've had to create our own record of the board meetings. We've been putting them up on the BBB Facebook page. And so I listened to the presentations of Jennifer Zanzo and Mr. Daniel Lee. Those happened at 9:30 at night. I had to leave, but I played them back on the video as I was uploading them to YouTube. And there was a lot of good information in there, a lot of information that really could have been brought up earlier in the agenda when this room was packed with folks because they were here to see their kids receive an award. I know that Loma Vista is on the agenda for tonight, so it's put a student achievement presentation. So it's just a friendly suggestion that when you're drafting these agendas, perhaps we can bring those informational items up closer to when there's more parents here to observe that information. You're not voting on it, it's just informational anyway. So it seems like a no-brainer to me. Lastly, I guess, the audio quality on your recordings on your website is really bad. So we've been creating our own videos, and it might be helpful to invest in some information technology infrastructure to improve the video recordings and the quality, because you really can't figure out who's talking at what time and who's saying what. I know that Monterey County has a very user-friendly website. You can access the Board of Supervisors agendas. You click on a certain portion of the agenda and it'll take you right to the video. I know that's probably the ultimate goal, but I think that would be helpful if we can start incorporating that, perhaps even having a separate link so that the Spanish translation is included, so that we can be more, encourage more open access to our monolingual community. Because I think the ultimate goal is open access to everyone. We're all very busy. Not everyone can make it to these meetings, and obviously the decisions that this board makes affects a lot of people. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Buenas noches. Gracias por darnos la oportunidad de venir a dar nuestras preocupaciones, ya que estamos muy interesados en la educación de los niños.
Good evening, and I want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to voice our concern that we are very worried about our children's education.
Mi nombre es Silvia Huerta y soy de la comunidad, soy una activista por 50 años.
My name is Silvia Huerta, and I'm an activist for about 50 years now.
Mire, yo no estaba aquí por 2-3 meses, pero me di cuenta que los maestros hicieron una encuesta que para que el superintendente se fuera de aquí. Yo digo que la mesa no tiene el poder de nada más recibir la encuesta de los maestros.
I was absent for a couple months, and while I was out, I was made aware that the teachers generated a survey of some kind that was presented to the board to remove Dr. Lusa. And I believe that the board should not take something like that into consideration as it was meant by the teachers.
Porque la encuesta hubiera sido de nosotros los padres, que somos los dueños de las escuelas, somos los dueños de los niños, y no han recibido ni una encuesta de parte de los padres. ¿Y qué está pasando aquí?
That survey actually should have been done among the parent community, because we are the parents of the students and the children of this district. And so we're wondering what is happening here. The parents aren't being considered.
Yo no estoy de acuerdo en esta encuesta que recibieron ustedes, por favor.
I do not agree in the survey results that you received.
También, mire, yo sé que la del personal se va, ya tiene muchos años que se va y nada que se va.
I'm also aware that the director of personnel is now leaving, although she has mentioned a few times in the past that she's leaving, but she doesn't leave.
Nosotros los padres queremos que renuncie porque desde que ella está hemos fracasado. Muchos maestros bilingües, muchos directores bilingües citados no los emplea porque eso es racismo.
We would like for her to resign because since she's been on board, she has rejected a lot of our minority community and bilingual people, and we believe that that's a form of racism.
Ella ya dio su renuncia por escrito que se va en junio. Ahora no, ya dio otro escrito según, o está hablando que se va hasta agosto, 15 de agosto. ¿Y para qué da la renuncia y luego dice que no se va?
Why was the initial resignation of the director of personnel submitted as of June 30th, and now it has been extended till August?
¿Qué está pasando con ella? A ella sí la protegen mucho, pero no fuera un mexicano, hiciera eso, no iban a permitir.
Why is she being protected this much? If it was a Mexican, you probably wouldn't do the same.
Yo quiero hablar otra cosa también.
Seguimos adelante. Gracias. Thank you very much. There are other speakers here. 3 minutos. Con mucho respeto que tenemos nuestra cultura, pero al mismo tiempo tenemos cargo.
Buenas tardes, miembros de la mesa directiva, doctor funcional Lusa Colón. Mi nombre es Olivia.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Lusa. My name is Olivia.
Y estoy aquí también para protestar acerca de nuestros maestros bilingües que no nos están empleando. Tenemos mucho personal nuevo que solamente habla inglés y nuestros hijos se están quedando atrás porque su idioma principal es el español.
I'm also here with the same concern that I am aware that a lot of our bilingual teachers out there available are not being hired, and only English-speaking teachers are being hired, and our students are falling behind our English learners.
También quería hablar acerca de las conferencias de CABE. Sabemos de que tenemos conferencias de CABE para maestros, la cual a nosotros este año no se nos comunicó.
I'm also concerned that the CABE conference was only announced mainly to teachers. A lot of us parents did not receive notification of it.
Tenemos una conferencia aquí regional que es en casa, pero los talleres grandes no los traen, que son como derechos civiles.
We are aware that there is also a regional conference similar to CABE, but they do not bring in the bigger speakers like civil rights speakers.
Sabemos de que el gobierno nos da el título 1 donde nos da dinero para entrenamiento de todos los padres.
We're aware that Title I funds should be available for parent training as well.
Para aprender y apoyar a nuestros hijos. Necesitamos más información y comunicación para que no lleguemos a este extremo.
And so that we can learn and better support our children. And so we need to have better communication so that we are not at these extremes.
Por su atención, gracias.
Thank you for your attention.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Guadalupe Castillo y vengo aquí con la misma preocupación que los otros padres vienen porque nos dieron la noticia que los maestros hicieron una encuesta para que el doctor Lusa renuncie. Y yo pienso que ustedes como miembros de la mesa directiva no deben de poner atención a esa encuesta que hicieron los maestros.
My name is Lupe Castillo. Good evening, and I'm here with the same concern as previous speakers. The survey that was given out by teachers and input by teachers. And same, I do not agree that you should take that into account.
Porque yo pienso que ellos están presionados con el doctor Lusa porque yo lo conozco desde hace muchos años y a él no le gustan los maestros holgazanes y yo he estado mucho de voluntaria en los salones y hay maestros que no tienen niños leyendo a su nivel de grado y ustedes como miembros de la mesa directiva deben de hacerle una encuesta a ellos a ver si sus alumnos están a nivel de grado de lectura.
I believe that the teachers that generated this survey are teachers that have in some way received pressure from Dr. Lusa, because Dr. Lusa, I've known him for many years, and he does not expect anything less but the best of his employees on this district, and so that our students learn. And so that survey should have been done of the teachers and to see which students are at grade level of each and every teacher and if they're doing their job.
Y yo les pido que ustedes no le den mucha atención a esa encuesta. Antes deben de cuestionar a cada maestro cómo van sus alumnos y no que se anden metiendo con el doctor Lusa, porque nosotros necesitamos este superintendente que conoce nuestra cultura, conoce nuestras necesidades y es más, él sabe nuestro idioma y él siempre ha estado con los padres. Muchas gracias.
Again, I believe that survey should be turned around and given to the teachers and see what kind of job they're doing instead of it being against Dr. Lusa, because we need him as our superintendent. He understands our culture and our language.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre, primero que nada, doctor Lusa y mesa directiva.
Me dirijo con ustedes con todo respeto.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Lusa, I am directing at you with all respect, all due respect.
Soy madre de 2 hijos de la escuela Sherwood y vengo con la preocupación que pienso que presionaron al doctor Lusa por no haber sido honestos y considero que no estuvo bien lo que hicieron. Deberían de haber hecho una encuesta tanto al personal como a todos los padres si querían que él se fuera.
Again, I believe that the survey was done unjustly against Dr. Lusa. You should have done it with other community members, other than just staff members. It should have been parents.
Poner en la balanza lo bueno que ha hecho, que es bastante, y también sobre las personas que han estado haciendo un meeting y ¿cómo se les dice? Hicieron un grupo de personas que hicieron que él renunciara y hasta se puso malito.
We strongly believe that too much pressure was put on Dr. Lusa for him to declare his resignation to the point that we believe he became ill from it.
Queremos, doctor Lusa, con todo respeto, que reconsidere su renuncia, que esté aquí con nosotros.
With all due respect, Dr. Lusa, we would like to ask you to present your resignation and remain with us.
Venimos algunos padres de diferentes escuelas, también de la escuela Sherwood, y si no es así, queremos como padres que seamos incluidos para elegir a nuestro nuevo superintendente.
I am here also with other parents from other schools and in support of this, but if it's not the case, we would like to be included in the seeking of the new superintendent.
La junta pasada estuve aquí sobre la votación de las personas, las agencias que van a buscar al nuevo superintendente, y no me pareció la persona que ganó, más respeto la decisión, pero háganle saber que somos muchos padres que queremos estar nuevamente en la elección de nuestro superintendente.
I was here at the last meeting where it was voted to select the consulting firm for the superintendent search. I don't agree with the decision of who was chosen, but I respect it. And again, we want to make it clear to these agencies, the agency, that we want to be part of this process.
Pues con esto me retiro. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.
This is it for tonight. Thank you.
Next, please.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches a todos, mesa directiva, al señor superintendente y toda la gente que nos está escuchando. Mi nombre es Manuel Eguigua, padre de familia también, de niños que pertenecen a la Escuela Gavilán, representante de la Escuela Gavilán de los padres de familia, y formo parte de varios programas también dentro de la comunidad.
Good evening, board members. My name is Manuel Eguigua. I come from El Gavilán School. I'm a parent as well as a participant of many other committees.
Ok, voy a ser muy breve, no ocupo 3 minutos para ser tan franco como quiero hacerlo. Doctor, una lástima que se vaya. Primero la salud ante todo, usted mismo lo dijo. Pero sé que no se va por un gusto, sino que también lo están empujando a irse y eso no es correcto. Como padre de familia, creo que tenemos el derecho también de ser tomados en cuenta.
Escuchado.
I'm going to be very brief in what I have to say, but frankly, Dr. Lusa, I'm very sad to see you leave, and not only because we know that you are not leaving of your own will, you have been pressured to do this.
Por otra parte, se queda, ojalá que se quede, y si no, de favor, como padre representante, ojalá el próximo superintendente, si es que lo eligen, sea una persona que represente nuestra comunidad, que sepa nuestras culturas, porque somos el 80%, no se les olvide, el 80% de hispanos. Entonces sería bonito que conociera nuestra lengua, nuestra cultura, y que de preferencia que fuera alguien que de verdad ame nuestra comunidad y sea de esa comunidad.
We hope you stay, but if you decide otherwise, we strongly suggest that the next superintendent is as well informed of our culture and our community and our 80% Hispanic population and our language.
Pienso que Con estos puntos soy demasiado claro. Gracias por su tiempo. Espero que tengan una buena decisión y nos sigan tomando a los padres de familia en cuenta. A todos los maestros, que no se olviden que también los padres de familia tenemos un parecer.
With this, I just, again, I want to make my points very clear, and we ask again that parents are taken into consideration for the good of our children.
Y muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias. Next, please.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Cristina Mejía, miembros de la mesa directiva. Gracias por escucharme.
Good evening, board members. My name is Cristina Mejia, and I want to thank you for hearing me tonight.
Vengo a darle las gracias otra vez al doctor Luza por su trabajo, que sé que ha dejado su vida en el camino. Gracias. Reconsidere quedarse otra vez y la agencia que ganó.
I want to express my thanks to Dr. Lusa for doing a great job. We know that he has left a lot of himself along the years with this district. Again, I'd like to ask for him to rescind his decision.
Queremos que nos informen a los padres, como miembros del consejo escolar de la escuela, los padres. Queremos que también nos tomen en cuenta para cuando hagan las siguientes evaluaciones. Ojalá que no se hagan porque queremos que se quede, pero si es así, queremos ser parte de las votaciones. Queremos que los padres se nos escuchen.
We are also requesting that parents remain informed, especially if another survey is ever done. We hope it's not. We hope Dr. Lusa stays and nothing else happens. But in case, we want to be also surveyed as well.
Quiero hacer la petición públicamente, ya que tenemos aquí a nuestro director, que nos invite cuando hagan el puesto en nuestra escuela. Y otra vez gracias.
I want to make a public petition to my school representative to include us in this survey. And again, thank you.
Gracias y buenas tardes.
Thank you.
Want to take a break a little bit? No? Okay. Next, please. The name?
Good evening. My name is Silvia Capuyan, second grade Roosevelt School. And I'm here positively to tell you guys I really appreciate the following individuals that attended, as Dr. Luz already said, the CABE. It was wonderful. Thank you very much to Ms. Pritchard. Thank you to Dr. Lusa. Thank you to Mr. Roberto Garcia, President, and to Ms. Willingham. We really appreciate it. What I'm going to state here is from my friend and my co-worker, my colleague, Rosana. She's sitting right over here, Torres. And I need to say that, I'll preface this, but I never attended CABE because I thought I knew everything. Bilingual, yeah, right. But this is her reflection, and actually they had to force me to go. I was upset all the way through there, and it was wonderful. Eh? But her reflection, this is Rosana Torres, first grade bilingual teacher, and this is her reflection. As I think back on the last few days, I've come to the realization that all of my years of hard work and sacrifice to become a bilingual teacher has been worth it. Many of the sessions I attended reaffirmed that what I'm doing for my kids in my classroom is right for them. All of the sessions I attended were inspiring, except for one. That's pretty good, which means that the association has worked hard to bring us the best. The sessions were informative, thought-provoking, and inspiring. But even more so, these sessions produced conversations among my colleagues that created a want and a need to really collaborate and help each other to better bridge that gap of isolation that is created once we close our classroom doors. Because the bottom line is this: we are here for the children, be they Latino, Asian, Anglo, or any other race. We always need to have that in mind. Collaboration and communication will make our teaching stronger and more successful. Gracias.
Gracias, maestra. Gracias, porque sí sabe.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Pamela Connor. I'm a 17-year veteran of Salinas City, 7 years at Roosevelt, and 10 years at Veranda Meadows. And in those years, I've probably served about 510 or more students And yes, 85% of them or more have been Hispanic. But I can very happily say that as I reflect back over all of those years, I felt appreciated and supported by 100% of those students and their families. And never in my classroom, never during conferences, never during parent events, felt what goes on here at these board meetings, which saddens me greatly. But I like to think back and say, what happens here really isn't indicative of what's going on in our full community. If you work together, if you have respect for one another, no matter what your culture is, you're going to have greater success. And I have to remind myself that because I come to a lot of these meetings and leave very distressed. But I get to go back to my classroom, back to my students, and back to my parents and feel a lot more positive and a lot more hopeful for our district. I want to comment on a couple of things. One, SCESD did do a survey. SCESD is a labor union and we represent our employees, our members. That's our responsibility. So if other groups want to have surveys, we absolutely support and respect that. But when we do a survey, it is for our bargaining unit members, and that is part of our job. And our community should understand labor unions. This is a community that relies on them for bettering their lives, and have respect for that. I have utmost respect for Pat Willingham and the dedication that she has served our district with in 40 years, forever, as a teacher, as an administrator here at the district office. I hate to put a request on our already very burdened staff, but it seems that maybe looking at some historical data on our hiring when it comes to bilingual teachers, bicultural teachers, and going and looking at level of Spanish historically, because a lot of inaccurate information is being spread that maybe by looking at data we can refute. Maybe I will find that I'm wrong, but I think that looking at that, our applicants and those people are hired can help resolve some of the lack of information that's happening right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Applause we don't need right now, we just need to listen and reflect. Thank you.
No, she deserved it.
Muchacho. Muchachito, por favor. Hay gente atrás de ti, no puede ver. Bájelo, por favor. Sí. O siéntese aquí enfrente con él. Next, please. Yes,
in the district. I also wanted to mention that I'm deeply saddened by the division between parents and teachers that I'm experiencing here at these board meetings. For the education of a child, it is utterly important that parents and teachers work together and fall on the same side of the road. The education of a child cannot succeed if parents and teachers are on opposite sides. There was a mention made that students are not reading at grade level. The teacher teaches the how-to. Reading is an activity that needs practice. I always try to compare it to playing the piano. We can go with the best piano teacher in the world, and he can show us where the keys are, what the notes mean, how we need to position the fingers. But if we then go home and we don't practice those skills that the skillful person has taught us, we will never be a pianist. And the same happens with reading. As a teacher, we impart the how-to, what the sound, which letter makes which sound, how to string the sounds together to make a word. But the practice, like the tactile practice on playing the piano, it happens partially at school, but lots more needs to also happen at home. So it is really important that as teachers and parents, we work together and everybody does their share. And if that was happening, then we would see a much, much better outcome for our students. It is not helpful to just come to a board meeting, throw blame around, instead of everybody going home and asking themselves, am I doing the part that I need to be doing to foster my child's education? And that is for teachers and that is for parents. And I would really appreciate if we could come to a common ground that we fall on the same side of the road for all students' education, no matter what ethnic background they have, because we do have quite a plethora of other ethnic backgrounds as well that are not necessarily represented at the board meetings, and that we root and fall on the same side of the road for all students' education and work together as a team. That's
Thank
what
you
I would
very
like
much.
to see.
And I'm going to close it for the next item. I'm going to close it for the next item. I mean, we've had a lot. I know a lot of people out there will want to comment, but I think we have some business to take care of también, I mean also. And we're going to go to the next item. And please, when people are speaking, don't call out or applaud. What I'd like for you to do is listen and reflect. En pocas palabras, con mucho respeto, se escucha, pero al mismo tiempo los representantes de aquí, todos tienen opinión y lo escuchamos, nos perdemos, nos acordamos y después vamos a hacer decisiones con la información que nos dan ustedes. Gracias. Thank you very much. Basically, what I'm saying is that we're going to reflect on what you say, what your comments are, but at the same time, we're going to put the district #1 children. We're always #1 as well. Okay? Okay. So we're going to go into consent items. Consent items, which is number 7. Anyone who wants to, in the public, who wants to pull an item, and we can listen to you, we can take your opinion on that, and then we'll move on forward from there if we have any questions or comments. Okay? I don't see anybody out there. Okay, next item, please. Board members, we approve the consent item? Yes.
I would like to pull one item, please, before you do. I think that we should.
I was ahead of myself.
Not a problem. Okay, I would like to pull item number 3, resignations and retirements, for separate vote and separate discussion, and then make a motion to approve all other items in the consent item. No, approve all other items minus number 3 for separate discussion amongst the board.
So done.
So that's a motion.
We have a motion on the floor. We have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Kim. Okay, any discussion? Okay. No roll call. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Saying none with 1 absent.
So I would like to bring up item number 3, and I have to ask Mrs. Willingham a question, if I could please. Would you please tell us why you changed your date from June 30th to July 15th as that was your prior date that you gave us for your resignation?
I can't hear.